Have you ever smiled at someone who was secretly hoping you'd fail? Not out of kindness, not out of forgiveness, but because you knew something they didn't. You were already 5 steps ahead, and they were playing checkers on your chessboard. If that sounds cold, it's because in the real world, power doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just smirks. We've been taught that if someone disrespects us, we should clap back, raise our voices, prove them wrong. But let me ask you something deeper. What if not reacting is the most devastating move you can make? A smile isn't just a curve of the lips, it's a message. It tells your enemy, I see you. I know what you're doing, and it doesn't shake me. It's calm, it's composed, and it's utterly unsettling. See, when someone truly hates you, they're hoping for a fight. They crave your attention, your energy. They want to feel like they matter in your world. And when you don't give them that satisfaction, it breaks something inside them. Because nothing infuriates a hater more than your peace. That's the beauty of the strategic smile. It isn't emotional, it's surgical. It removes their power without a single word. Think of it like this. Your enemy expects fire. When you hand them stillness, it's disarming. They throw insults, you smile. They gossip behind your back, you smile. They try to trigger you, and you offer silence, paired with that calm, unreadable grin. You're not ignoring them, you're outplaying them. That's not weakness, that's warfare. You see, a real threat isn't loud, it's unpredictable. When you smile in the face of hate, you become unreadable, and that makes you dangerous. People fear what they don't understand, and nothing is more confusing, more intimidating than someone who refuses to be rattled. So the next time someone tries to bait you into reacting, don't give them your fury, don't give them your time. Just give them the one thing they'll never know how to handle. A smile that says, you never had control, and you never will. They don't hate you because you're weak. They hate you because you stir something inside them, something they can't control. And now they're waiting, watching, hoping you'll react, hoping you'll give them what they crave most, validation. Yes, validation. Because when someone attacks you, what they truly want isn't justice, or truth, or clarity. They want relevance. They want to feel powerful. And the fastest way to hand them that power is to react. The moment you raise your voice, argue, explain, or defend, you've entered their arena. You've stepped into their game with rules they designed to make you lose. Most people think retaliation is strength, but real strength, real power is when you see the bait and choose not to bite. Enemies feed on chaos, they thrive on conflict, and when you respond, even with logic or anger, you're saying, you matter enough to shake me. But when you don't respond, when you stay centered, unbothered, unmoved, you steal their spotlight, you steal their oxygen. Because here's the hard truth. People who seek to tear you down aren't operating from a place of confidence. They're projecting their own fear, shame, and inadequacy onto you. They want a reaction, not because they're strong, but because they're starving. And if you feed them your energy, they win. But imagine this. They come at you with gossip, slander, disrespect. And you simply blink. No panic, no rage, just presence. You look at them, not with hate, not with fear, but with absolute indifference. Because indifference is louder than anger. It says, you can throw fire, but I won't burn. You can scream, but I won't echo. That's when the real shift happens. The moment you stop explaining yourself to small minds, you start living on your own terms. So let them talk. Let them twist your words. Let them search for your faults. Just remember, you don't owe anyone your energy, your peace, or your voice. Not when you've built too much to risk it. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strategy, and your self-control. It's the greatest punishment they'll never see coming. We've been told our whole lives that revenge means fire. That if someone wrongs you, you strike back louder, harder, faster. But real power doesn't roar, it whispers. The greatest revenge doesn't make headlines. It doesn't throw punches. It moves like a shadow. It's cold, it's strategic, and it's delivered when your enemy least expects it, long after they thought they had already won. Because you see, revenge isn't about retaliation. It's about control. Control over your emotions, control over your timing, control over the narrative they thought they were writing for you. Anyone can explode, anyone can shout. But to stay silent, to smile while your name is dragged through the mud, that's strength disguised as calm. It's in that silence where you begin carving the real masterpiece. You let them talk, you let them laugh. While you build, while you evolve, while you prepare the truth that doesn't need to be spoken, because one day it will walk into the room before you do. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But what if you could be neither and still win? What if your presence alone could unsettle the very ones who tried to bury you? Let them underestimate you. Let them think you've surrendered. Let them mistake your stillness for defeat. Because when revenge is silent, it hits deeper. It rewrites the rules of engagement. Imagine this: they betrayed you, lied about you, tried to ruin your name, and instead of reacting, you rebuilt. You walk back into the same room, not with words, but with success written across your entire being. No announcement, no explanation, just undeniable presence. That's the kind of revenge they never recover from. Not because you hurt them directly, but because you made them irrelevant. When you master silence, you master the battlefield. Because while they were celebrating your downfall, you were orchestrating a return so quiet, so powerful, that when it arrived, they had no defense left. That's what real revenge looks like. So the next time someone tries to humiliate you, undermine you, or write your ending, don't scream, don't explain, smile. Building return. Not to prove a point, but to remind them you never needed to. Some think silence is weakness, that not responding, not clapping back, means you've surrendered. But history tells a different story. A story of kings, revolutionaries and billionaires who mastered the art of quiet retaliation and rewrote the world in the process. Let's begin with Abraham Lincoln. During his presidency, he was mocked, hated, and publicly humiliated, sometimes even by members of his own party. But Lincoln didn't lash out. He didn't attack them in return. He took a different path, strategic inclusion. He appointed many of his loudest critics to his cabinet. Why? Because Lincoln understood the ultimate move. The best way to disarm a rival is to make them feel essential. Not only did it neutralize their attacks, it forced them to serve the very mission they once tried to undermine. That's not politics, that's power. Fast forward to the modern world. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. For decades, he faced scrutiny, slander, and relentless criticism. They laughed at his voice, mocked his ideas, predicted Amazon would fail. But did he argue? Did he fire back? Number. He stayed silent, focused on innovation, on systems, on long-term dominance. And while they talked, he built. Today, many of those voices are gone. And Bezos, he doesn't just run a company. He changed the way the world shops, reads, and thinks about business. Then there's Mahatma Gandhi. The quiet storm. The British Empire tried to break his spirit with prison, violence, and humiliation. But Gandhi never raised his fist. He responded with peaceful resistance. And in doing so, he exposed the moral decay of his oppressors. His silence echoed louder than their weapons. And in the end, the empire fell. Not because he fought with fists, but because he refused to surrender his soul. Even in sports, this principle holds true. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the most polarizing figures in football, constantly booed, mocked, attacked, but he doesn't respond with words. He responds with goals. He lets his feet speak, and the scoreboard becomes his greatest revenge. You see, the most powerful people in the world don't fight noise with more noise. They fight it with undeniable excellence. They turn hate into momentum. They let their results become the loudest sound in the room. So what does that mean for you? It means you don't need to defend your name. You don't need to explain your worth. Let your consistency be your counterattack. Let your growth be your response. Every time you stay calm when they expect rage, every time you smile when they expected tears, you're following the path of giants. So the next time you're under fire, pause. Think of Lincoln's grace, Bezos's focus, Gandhi's restraint, Ronaldo's silence. And ask yourself, do I want to react or do I want to win? Because the loudest legacies are often built in silence, and those who master it own the future. There's a smile that can shake a room. Not the kind you flash for a photo, not the one you offer at a party, but the kind that rises slowly, almost imperceptibly, when someone tries to provoke you and fails. That smile? It's not joy, it's not amusement, it's control. It tells your opponent you are untouched, unbothered, still standing, while they've already lost emotional balance. Most people think power is loud. They think it comes from titles, money, dominance. But real power shows up in moments of pressure, where the average person would explode and the master simply smiles. Because here's what most people don't understand. The moment you react emotionally, you give your opponent a signal that they've gotten to you, that their words, their gossip, their bitterness landed. You become readable, predictable, weak. But a strategic smile, that's unreadable. It breaks the pattern. They throw a punch, but there's no fight. They launch an insult, but there's no echo, just silence, and a calm, composed face that unnerves them more than any words ever could. It's a paradox. How can someone smile when being attacked? How can someone remain calm in the face of chaos? And that's exactly the point. When you smile in moments where others would scream, you send a message louder than any outburst. You don't have power over me. It plants doubt. It forces them to question their approach. It makes them wonder, why didn't it work? And in that space of confusion, you win. Because you didn't just refuse to react, you flipped the dynamic. Now they're the ones rattled, while you remain centered. Think of it like this. Your smile is a mirror. It reflects all their hate back onto themselves. It makes them sit in their own anger, alone. And nothing is more disarming than realizing your enemy isn't playing the game you designed. In the corporate world, in politics, even in family conflict. The person who remains calm holds the room. They speak last, they speak less. But when they do, every word lands with weight. That's what your smile can become. Not an expression of happiness, but a symbol of mental sovereignty. So the next time someone comes at you with drama, manipulation, or venom, don't argue, don't defend, don't stoop, just smile. Let them wonder, let them spiral. Because when you master that smile, you no longer react to the storm. You become the stillness that outlasts it. Let me tell you something most people never dare to admit. Hate is a gift. Not the kind you open with joy, but the kind you unpack with wisdom. Because every time someone hates you, they are revealing something about themselves, not about you. They're showing you where their insecurities live. They're handing you a map of their emotional weaknesses. And most importantly, they're giving you their energy. Hate is attention. Hate is focus. And if you're smart, if you're strategic, you can convert that negative current into fuel. You don't need to run from it. You don't even need to defend yourself against it. All you need to do is channel it. Redirect the heat towards something that grows you, strengthens you, sharpens you. Think about this. While they're obsessed with bringing you down, you're quietly building something they'll never understand. Because they're too distracted by your shadow to see your rise. You're living rent-free in their minds, and yet you're free. You're not anchored by them. You're elevated by their obsession. It's a strange irony, isn't it, that the very people who want to stop you end up becoming your greatest motivators. They think their words will destroy you, but their criticism becomes your mirror. Their doubts become your drive. Their attacks become the resistance you train against, like lifting heavier weights, until your strength becomes undeniable. You become the storm they try to run from. But this only works if you understand one crucial truth. Hatred only has power when you give it direction. If you internalize it, let it break you. It will. But if you transmute it, if you rise above it, then suddenly the hate becomes a stepping stone. I remember when I faced betrayal from someone I trusted deeply. The lies, the backstabbing, the smear campaign. It shook me, but I didn't retaliate. I didn't sink into despair. Instead, I sat in silence, and I built. Every hateful whisper became another brick in the wall of my comeback. And when I reappeared, stronger, more focused, more successful, they were speechless, because I had used their hate to redesign my life. And that's the lesson here. You don't always have to fight back. Sometimes the best response is to outgrow the hate. Let it become your edge. Let it become your story. Let it become the reason you wake up earlier, train harder, think deeper, love yourself better. Because at the end of the day, your legacy won't be built by the people who cheered for you. It'll be built on the backs of those who tried to stop you and failed. So the next time you feel the sting of someone else's bitterness, don't flinch. Smile. Because whether they know it or not, they just gave you a gift. Now it's your move. Will you burn in their fire or rise from it? So now the question is no longer about them. It's about you. After everything we've explored about power, hate, silence, strategy, you have to ask yourself the one question that separates leaders from victims. Am I still giving my enemies the power to shape my actions? Because the truth is, you don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to explain yourself to every doubter. You don't need to retaliate against every insult. You are not a puppet dancing to the strings of someone else's bitterness. You are more than their assumptions, more than their projections, more than the noise. And once you realize that, everything changes. You stop wasting your time trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop bleeding energy into relationships, arguments and situations that don't grow you. You stop thinking revenge is about making them feel what you felt. And start understanding that real revenge is never needing revenge at all. Because the moment you can walk past someone who tried to hurt you without a word, without a reaction, without a dent in your peace, you've already won. They don't need to fall. You just need to rise. And every time you hold your silence when they expect your rage, every time you stay calm when they wanted chaos, you're not avoiding confrontation. You're rewriting the rules. You're teaching the world. My emotions are not for sale. My energy is not available on demand. My value is not up for debate. Let me tell you something hard but true. If someone's hatred can throw off your focus, they're still controlling you. If someone's opinion can make you shrink, you've handed them your influence. But when you can hear the insult, see the smear, feel the attack, and still remain centered, you're not just in control, you've transcended. That's the goal, isn't it? Not to live proving people wrong, but to live in a way that makes their hate irrelevant, to live so well, so freely, so boldly, that their venom never finds a place to land, because hate only thrives in reaction. And when you choose not to react, when you choose to smile, build, and move on, you're breaking the cycle. You're refusing to be another player in someone else's drama. You're too busy writing your own story. So if you've been caught in the trap of fighting back, proving your worth, defending your name, stop. Take your power back. Choose stillness over chaos. Choose direction over distraction. Let your peace speak louder than your pain. Let your growth speak louder than your scars. Let your silence say what your enemies will never understand. I am untouchable. Not because I fight harder, but because I no longer need to fight at all. This is the game of power, and now that you've seen the rules, how will you play it?